This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Greg Morton, and it's Sunday, November 14th, 2021. And then this is the weekend video update for Canslim growth stock investors. So as always, this is for educational purposes only. I'm not recommending any stocks or securities to buy or sell, and all investing has substantial risk of big losses. We want to learn first, and only then do we want to invest. So quick reminder, as we head into the end of the year, you have one critical investing job. That is to write down your buy and your sell rules. Written means written, not I have them somewhere in my head or I could write them down if I wanted to. It means writing them down. Then you want to follow your written rules, and then you want to do post analysis on your trade and determine if the written rules were actually followed and if your written rules need to be adjusted based on your post analysis. So very important to remember, post analysis is not based on whether it was a profitable trade or not. It's based on whether or not you followed your written rules. So you can have a profitable trade that can get an F if you ignored your written rules. You can get a losing trade that gets an A because you followed your rules. And sometimes they just don't work. So you kept your losses short, as Bill O'Neill emphasized, and you moved on to something that would work. So, and if you don't have written rules, then it's just all a mistake. So here's what we're going to look at this weekend. We're going to look at the M factor, market review, market direction. Context matters. Welcome to the farm. I'll explain that. Glance at a couple charts, and then we have our regular educational monthly online meeting this week coming up on Tuesday, which is 2 days from now. So the M factor, Bill teaches us this is the most important letter in Canslim, and that to interpret it properly, we look at three things in this order. We look at the action of leading stocks. We look at the action of stocks owned. So I noted in here, after the follow through day, went from 8% invested to about 40% invested in that first week. And now in the group teaching portfolio, I think we're up over 80%. So we'll look at that. And we look at the market pulse, distribution day count, and volume on the indexes. So it's also, I thought this weekend, very important to emphasize that context matters. So brought along my friend to help us with our word of the weekend. And the word of the weekend is extended, because that's what we're seeing. And I'm not talking about the indexes so much as I'm talking about the leading stocks. So as we look at those, just to show you, this is the IBD 50 out of the paper. These are extended, even though you have a 3-week tight pattern forming on this one, it's extended if that's the pattern that it's forming. That's a good add-on buy point. It is not a place that I initiate a new position. Here, take some gains, extended way past the entry, hyper extended, whatever that means. This one's extended, extended. Let me move this because it's covering up the bottom of my screen. Extended number 8 and hits the 25% profit goal, which means it's extended. So we just see this throughout the growth to 50. Here's one that's not extended, well, it's extended, but it's pulling back and testing the 10-week line. This one's testing the 10-week, well extended, 25% profit goal. These are extended. Extended, you can just see it, fail breakout, loses support. So they're not actionable. They're very extended, and the ones that aren't are sort of struggling. So here's the first one down at number 27 that they say is in buy range. Here's a choppy consolidation, round trip, 3 weeks tight again. Again, not a place for me to initiate. Extended, here's a second one in buy range, but it's a foreign brokerage company. So who knows what the accounting rules are over there. Here's one that is in buy range, but it's a 3 weeks tight. So again, not for me, that's an add-on buy point. So there's just not very much that's actionable. Deep cup with handle, so that's not good. We'd rather have a regular cup with handle. Here finally at number 41 it's a little bit extended. It's above the buy range, so you can't chase, but who knows, maybe it pulls back. Study it, see if it's worth going on your watch list. And then wrapping it up, just tons of extended stocks. Sector leader list is not any better. It is up to 10 now, which is nice. This is supposed to be the best of the best. Every one of them is extended except two, and these two are actually the same stock. They're both Google. One's just the voting shares and the non-voting shares. And I would say based on the charts that the voting shares make absolutely no difference to us, whether you have voting rights or don't have voting rights, because those charts are basically virtually identical. So they happen to both be in a buy range and really almost at the same dollar point. So that would be one to study. So that's the point of this, is that the follow through day system is really like our farming system. So the follow through day kicks off the season. It's planning time. Start filling up our portfolio in normally what's a target rich environment. The best Canslim stocks that break out, if the follow through day is going to work, there's more of the best merchandise early on, and there's more breakouts early on. So we're now 4 weeks from the follow through day. So we're down the road a little bit. So as time goes by, which is where we are now, we're focused more on pulling the weeds, selling our losers, and cultivating the winners. So this may be harvesting some good crops at our 20% profit goal. We're supposed to be doing that 80 to 90% of the time, because only 1 or 2 out of every 10 has the potential to be a true market leader. And then we're tending to the best of the best. So we're looking for add-on buy points for these ones that are doing well also, while we're pulling the weeds. So Bill called this force feeding your winners. So the further we are from that follow through day, the more our job as a portfolio manager is focusing on the best of the best, tending to those, adding per our written add-on buy rules, not just because we want to add because it's doing well, and then pulling the weeds. And so right now, in my mind, there's just not nearly as much new planning. Crops are seasonal, so we still can have some breakouts. We still can have some stocks that do well, but the bottom line is, I think most Canslim growth investors who are doing it correctly and who are position traders are going to have a fairly full portfolio and are going to be very cautious, very disciplined as far as starting any new entries. And we're going to be diligently studying for add-on buy points. So with that context, now let's do what we normally do and go look at the indexes in Market Smith. Oh, let's go up. We'll start with the Nasdaq. These are going to look fine. I'll just go ahead and tell you. So it's not, the indexes aren't concerning me. It's all the extended stocks and how the leaders are acting. So this is good. We're back above the moving average lines. They're trending up. Here's our follow through day was back here. And then we've had 2, I count them as subsequent follow through days. If the index was up 1% or more on volume, while that's not enough for a normal follow through day, I count it as a subsequent follow through days. And Mike Webster, Justin Nielsen have taught us that the good rallies will have these subsequent follow-through days within 25 trading days of the follow-through day. So Friday was another one of those for me. It was up well above average volume, and the index has nice volume coming in now. So this is looking good. S&P 500, same thing. You know, we went up and hit new high after new high after new high. It's got a pause, holding all the moving average lines. They're stacked in the correct order, 10, 21, 50, and 200 day. Same thing on the NYSE, could hit new all-time highs again this week. Dow hit all these all-time closing highs and has paused. Volume has come down. These look constructive still currently. The small cap Russell, of course, it finally caught up, hit new all-time closing highs. We have a little bit of a pause, volume trickling down. And the S&P 600, same thing. Small caps finally caught up, hit all-time closing highs with the other indexes. Everybody was in the same marching band. Moving average lines are stacked in the correct order. Power trends on the Nasdaq, we're just trending above that 21-day moving average. So it is a good environment index-wise for growth stocks. The problem is we're now 4 weeks from the follow-through day, and there's just not a lot of new merchandise for initiating new positions. So we have to be careful there. If we look at my coloring book, which is my market direction tracking spreadsheet, we have 16 buying days, 7 selling days in the last 25-day window. Here's our follow-through day back here on October 14th on the Nasdaq, and then we had one on the Dow the next day. Here's the subsequent follow-through days, one right there on November 3rd, and then the one we just had on Friday. I have 16 buying days, 7 selling days in the last 25-day window. That's very strong, accumulation dominant tape as far as I can tell. We only have one distribution day on the Nasdaq, which I'm not quite sure. IBD went back this week and added that one in retroactively as a stalling day. They didn't mention it was a stalling day when it happened, but that's the one they're counting on the Nasdaq. So I added it to my spreadsheet. I follow their rules in counting distribution days here. I follow my own rules in counting buying and selling days. And then we have 2 on the S&P 500, and we have a total of 2 on the Dow. And the active ones have these little borders around them. So the S&P, yeah, some of these may have dropped due to the gain rule. So there's just 2, that one and that one. Market school models at full exposure at 7, and the power trend remains own. So that looks strong. Let's go back and glance at the group teaching portfolio. So yeah, 85% invested overall on a cash basis. Could have been a little bit more aggressive there coming out of the follow-through day. We're up 25.79% year to date. Here's this week, one key thing to note. So here's Wednesday. Wednesday was just a terrible day. Even if we didn't have sell rules triggering, that was a nasty whack on that highest inflation in 31 years. Scott O'Neill has taught, and this is the main reason I track this daily gain, that if we have a really bad whack day like that, if the index can recover, if your growth stock portfolio can recover 50% of the whack, in other words, that would be $10,500 over the next 2 days, then the rally has a decent chance of surviving. This one did more. It recovered over 100% of it within the next 2 days within this group teaching portfolio. So that was very strong, and that was encouraging. Again, it doesn't give me more setups, but it was encouraging from an index standpoint. So looked at that. Let's go back to our slideshow. In light of all this, so my current market interpretation is it's a two-light market. So for stocks that are owned, it's a green light, looking for add-on buy points. For stocks not owned, you just want to be cautious. It doesn't mean stop investing. There's not a red light, but want to be very disciplined and very strict and require very strong Canslim fundamentals and Canslim technical chart setup. So the M factor's in our favor. That leg of the stool is fine. I just think that one has to be very careful with new entries, be very demanding. Don't use FOMO to cut corners on the setups. So things that are coming up, EPS season's winding down. We have another fairly heavy week this week. Buyable gap ups have clearly been the best new entries lately. Don't know what's happening with Delta, COVID, and COVID plus. Seems like it's backing off, but we're heading into flu season and cold season, so who knows? China government, still the wild card of wild cards. Evergrande, still wondering if they're going to default or collapse. In the U.S., we have government shutdown, debt ceiling deadlines coming up around December 3rd. Still have supply chain issues, which we're aware of. And are we going to have a Santa rally this year? Who knows? We're heading into the end of the year, and if I counted right, we have 33 opening bells to go. Maybe some half days in there, at Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, if I remember correctly, or maybe the way it falls this year, it's just there's not a half day in there. I'm not sure, but in any event, I think we have 33 more trading days to go. So we're getting close to the end of the year. So couple charts in MarketSmith. I just threw in a couple because I said there aren't too many setting up, but there are, here's a couple you could look at. determine if they're going to go on your watch list or not. Let's go to the weekly chart. So this is in the semiconductors, of course, industry group 26. Got a stage 2 double bottom base set up there. We're past earnings, have Canslim earnings and sales. Let's open this. Don't have any top mutual fund ownership, but do have a decent number of funds, so have to look into that. RS line needs to go to new high with price pretty soon. Solar Edge, solar stocks have started doing better, so you can see this one, stage 3 base, so that may knock it out for some of you, although it's really a base on base. That's a stage 2, and this one barely. It had to barely undercut there to be a stage 3. So got a long base there, close to Canslim numbers. Earnings are a little bit light, industry group 7. And of course, as an alternative to the solar, individual solar stocks, you can always look at TAN, which is a solar ETF and trades like a growth stock. So it's sort of set up there. I mean, that's 46% deep, but the rules for ETFs are a little bit different. So that's sort of one to watch. We have some new volume coming in as it came back through the moving average lines. So it's just a couple. You just got to do your weekend routine. So our the big monthly online meeting, these are the 2-hour meetings, plus sometimes a little bit more because Q&A will run over. So at our last meeting, we looked at and wrapped up the complete weekend routine for Canslim investors, and we also looked at ACEs and face cards, which was determining the best of the best when you're comparing one Canslim stock to another. So we kind of went through what I considered were the key criteria. And then also at the last meeting, we covered the rally day, follow through day system. What are failures? Can you buy before a follow through day? And my friend Steve Sweat showed up and taught us about his early entry rules between the rally day and the follow through day for advanced Canslim investors. So here's a list of our prior educational meetings. These are available, same $10 tuition as a meeting. If you don't have written sell rules, which I started out talking about, I spent a full 3 months covering that topic. So there's 5 or 5.5 hours of teaching in there that will help you write your own set of personal sell rules, working through each trading zone on the Market Smith chart. So if you don't have written rules, you need to think about getting them seriously. And then here were some of the other meetings. I haven't put October in there yet. And so this Tuesday, we're going to look at some of the Bible gap ups. I'll just pull up some of the charts. But our big educational topic is going to be on digging in deep, processing tools for the Canslim investor to build conviction. Jim Ropel was talking about this recently, and he noted that he had high conviction on every single stock on which he ever made what he calls thunder money. So we're sort of going to follow his train of thought and study chasing those storms. How do we do that? How do you dig in deeper? What are the tools? What's the analysis? We'll look at Dexcom, and I'll walk through why that's a high conviction stock for me and how I built that conviction. We may look at post analysis on a couple of trades in the G group teaching portfolio and do some recent IPO discussion. So if you want to come to Tuesday's meeting, you can register for it at the online. You just RS at the Stockyard site. You just go to the event and just click that you're going to RSVP, and it walks you through the PayPal process as you do that. If you're a first timer, I send you a courtesy copy of last month's meeting and recording. So if you have any questions or need my contact information, here it is. You're watching this on my Stockyard YouTube page, so do like and subscribe to that. The weekend reviews are on there. There's a video on how to use the group teaching portfolio. Our whole meeting from May of last year is on there, so you can see what we cover and the way I flow the meetings. And there's a video on there on the 8-week hold rule, which is really an 8-week hold exception. It's one of the most misapplied rules in Canslim. So if you want to know more about the 8-week rule, watch that. So that's it. Hope you guys have a great weekend routine, and look forward to seeing several of you on Tuesday night like normal. That's it. I'm out of here.